Whew. So how we all feeling, Eagles Nation? Have we all calmed down now and caught our breath? Do any of us still have a voice left? Because I'm pretty sure we were all screaming today at our TVs, wherever you were watching the game, and no doubt, like, shaking your fist and swearing up a storm at Nick Sirianni, blowing up his Twitter if he has a Twitter or whatever. But by the end of the day, in spite of everything, they found a way to win. I mean, should we be entirely surprised that they won this game? No. This is a good team. They have the talent. We have seen flashes of it, glimpses. We know the resilient bunch. We have seen that resiliency displayed time and time again. The only problem is that this team has an ego issue. I think I'm right and justified in stating that accusation. And what kind of brings it to light is during the broadcast, if anybody recorded the broadcast today or was paying any attention to the announcers, Greg Olson made the comment about Nick Sirianni is committed to his morals or his principles, however you want, whatever terminology works best for you. But in regards to Nick Sirianni's questionable decision-making today, Greg Olson tried to defend it. Yes, I know, I still have my Christmas decorations up. I never took them down from last year. I'm not proud of it. My thought process was, they're only going to go back up next year, so what the fuck? It's, kind of kick myself, number one, because I really love Halloween, so this kind of defeats the purpose. But hey, there was the Nightmare Before Christmas, so whatever. I promise I'll take them back down this coming spring. Sorry about that, had an itch. But anyway, back to the matter at hand. I am only a human being, so of course, I let my emotions get the better of me. I know I can be a little dramatic. Like many fans, jump the gun when in the heat of the moment. I know I screamed, fire Nick Sirianni. I texted it. Am I going to go back on it? Hell no. Because today, Nick Sirianni needs to be put on alert. You're Jeff Lurie. You're the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles. You are definitely calling him into the office tomorrow for a private one-on-one, and you need to explain to him, Nick, listen, I love and appreciate what you have done to this point, but I'm starting to get concerned. Okay, I'm not starting to. I am concerned. Do you want to know why I'm concerned, Nick? Because I couldn't help but notice we had multiple opportunities to get points on the board, and all I kept seeing was constant, self-belligerent befuddles. I guess what I'm just trying to say is, I noticed you guys shooting yourselves in the foot a lot. Same thing last week. Maybe a little bit there in the Green Bay game. And, I get it, Nick. Like, we're still trying to move on from Jason Kelsey. We're moving on from Fletcher Cox. And it's a little hard. I get it. These guys are still sinking. We didn't have A.J. Brown. God only knows what Devontae Smith's condition is. I hope it's good. Same with Lane Johnson. So hopefully that's not going to come back to bite us, especially when we go down to Tampa. And we'll touch on that a little bit here in this video. But back to my supposed what's going to happen with Sirianni and Jeff Lurie in the office tomorrow. Nick, I hire a head coach to run my football team, and you have my utmost trust and confidence But I got to tell you, today I was kind of seeing the fans that were down here in the Big Easy, and they were not happy, Nick. Not just the fact that, the Saints are a good football team, okay? Nobody could fault us for losing to a good team like the Saints, being held down 3-0. The only problem is, Nick, we could have had maybe 12 points at best before we started scoring touchdowns. I mean, we'll give the Saints the one interception. That was just a good play. Hurts has got to work on that a little bit. Why was he throwing that into such tight coverage? He's still giving the ball away. Too much for my taste. I get it's only one turnover per game, but that could be a turnover too many in a league like this. And do I need to remind you of our schedule this year? It's not a nice schedule. We've got a lot of rough teams ahead coming up. Did I mention we're playing the Bucs next week? Who just lost very badly. So I can imagine they're going to be quite peeved when we come into town. But anyway, Nick, I know I'm dawdling, I'm rambling, I guess I should just get right to the damn point. Nick, what are you doing? I mean, it's either you or our new offensive coordinator. I'm sorry, his name escapes me, Kellen Moore. But, Nick, you have the final say on these calls, correct? So, would you mind telling me why we're going for it on 4th down every time? It's like, Nick, I get it. You have confidence in the guys, but, there comes a point when you got to realize it's not working. You got to get a gut feeling knowing that, listen, this isn't how the game's going to play. All right, we got to take the points that are given to us. Nick, we honestly could have had 12 points before the 4th quarter. We have one of the best kickers in the league, and by the time you do get the gusto to want to go for a field goal, you go for a 60-yarder when it's only midway through the 4th? Nick, you only kick 60-plus yarders if we're trying to win the game, if we're desperate. Nick, where is your head at? And you want to know something else the announcers are saying? I'll tell you exactly where I think your head's at. And again, it's got to come from Greg Olsen and the freaking broadcasting crew. They said constantly, over and over, you're trying to recapture the magic of 2022. Nick, it's not 2022. It's 2024. Get with the times, Nick. Jason Kelsey and Fletcher Cox are retired. We can't bring them back. And you cannot ask these kids to fill in their shoes. They have to find their own identity and strength, and we need to encourage and work off that. Now, we need to find the new identity for this team. And right now, this is a team that likes to be very generous and keep the other team in the game. And that's not going to help in the long run, Nick. We saw what happened last year. Nick, I'm still seeing the same issues. This team is undisciplined. This team is dysfunctional. Finally, the defense looked good. For the most part, the defense looked fantastic. And that could not have happened at a better time than against the Saints. Holding that offense to 12 points. Just phenomenal job by you and Vic Fangio on that part. But the offense, Nick, and the decision-making, Nick, you got to fix that. You got to clean that up. Nick, baby, I'm sorry, but I'm starting to worry a little bit that I think you're kind of losing it a little, that you're putting your pride ahead of the team. I disagree wholeheartedly with what Greg Olsen says about you need to be committed to your moral. No! If it's not working, you got to change it. The best example of a head coach who changed his personality and perspective. Actually, there's two good examples. Two good examples of head coaches who had to change their philosophy in order for the team to be successful. You go all the way back to 1999, Dick Vermeil and the St. Louis Rams. Look what happened. One of the best damn teams in NFL history, and they won a Super Bowl. Tom Coughlin, New York Giants. 2007, he came in on the hot seat. Changed his philosophy. They won a Super Bowl. They started out 0-2, but you could argue that's probably the greatest season in Giants history. Okay, well, maybe statistic-wise and record-wise, maybe not. But the way it ended, I would take that. And then 4 years later, they repeat. You had the sequel. Tom Coughlin, 2 Super Bowls in a 4-year span because he was willing to swallow his pride. Do you understand, Nick? You are pig-headed. You could say you have confidence in this team. I have confidence in this team too, Nick. But you know what? You're not showing the opposition any respect. Every time you go for it on 4th down, that's a smack in the face to them. And that's what encourages them to step up. And then your guys don't execute. There comes a time and a place for everything, but we don't need to go for it on 4th down every time, Nick. We have one of the best kickers in the league, so we gotta take chippies. And sure, yeah, you're worried about catching flack for not going for it? Listen, Nick, I get it. I've owned the Philadelphia Eagles since 94, so it's my 30th year owning the team. I know how crazy these fans are. You can't please them half the time. But you know what? They will be less of a bunch of assholes if you just win the game and not be stupid. Sure, they'll heckle about you not going for it from time to time, but as long as we win the game and we don't look like our own worst enemy, turning it over on ridiculous play calls, it's the questionable decision making, the poor discipline execution. That's what they're going to remember. Even if you win the game, they're still going to point that out. Now, if you win the game by playing it safe and not taking the points when they want to, you're not going to catch as much flack. But you know what, Nick? I'm trying to get to the point. The point is, Nick, you're being a selfish coach right now. I'm not interested in your principles. I'm not interested in your morals. I'm not interested in the statistics, Nick. There's only one statistic I care about being an owner, and that's the W. I want to see the damn W, Nick. All that other stuff, that's for the media to gossip over. That's for the broadcasters and the number crunchers to go goo goo gaga over. Nick, all I care about is the team winning and looking good and looking like a team. Nick, we do not look like a fully functional team. We do not. There are so many questions yet. There are so many screws that still need tightening. And the most important thing, Nick, is that you need to get over yourself. You need to get off that high horse. There's having confidence, and then there's being smart to know what's best for the team. Going for it on 4th down is a double-edged sword with too much risk compared to reward. Nick, we're lucky to have won this game. Yes, the team made the plays when necessary. But Nick, we shouldn't have to put ourselves into that position. Don't beat yourselves. You make the other team beat you. We should have beat Atlanta last week. And by all rights, we had no rights beating the Saints. Because this game never should have been close. Had you just taken the points. To make decisions based off pride, Nick, that's selfish. You're not thinking of the team. You're not putting them first. You're being a selfish coach. And I know you're better than that. But you've got to get past 2022. The whole team. Every team is different, Nick. Just like the number in the year. It's 2024, not 2022. It's time to move on. Okay, Nick? I don't want to make this sound like I'm putting you in the hot seat. But, something's got to change, man. Something's got to change. Whew. And that would be how I think the meeting between Jeff Lurie and Nick Sirianni ought to go. And that basically sums up everything I've got to say about why the hell the execution and the decision making today literally made me want to rip my hair out. We won the game, and yet I still can't be fully satisfied because there is just so much still going on with this team. And it starts with the coach. I mean, either Nick Sirianni or Kellen Moore. Somebody's got to get their head straight. I'm sorry, but in my opinion, you don't need to go for it on fourth down all the damn time. Take the points. Get it through your head. It's not happening. It's not in the cards. Don't be a selfish asshole, Nick. You're hurting your team that way. So I really hope they get this cleaned up before next week. Because Tampa's going to look for a bounce back after they got humiliated by the Broncos today. But if to make anything Denver feels good enough. They got their first win. To make Tampa feel any better, this was a weird week today. This was a weird day for the NFL because not only did the Broncos upset the Bucs, the Panthers clobbered the Raiders for their first win. I mean, what the heck, Raiders? How do you go from beating the Ravens to losing to the Panthers? Huh? But I'm not going to get too arrogant and talk smack because my Birds do have to play the Panthers down the road. So I just pray to God that by then the Eagles look like the team we all think they should be by then. And the Panthers remember that they suck. Now, what other big surprises did we have today? Oh, yeah, the Vikings. 3-0, and they trounced the Texans. I didn't really see many highlights of that game because, had my own game to worry about. So I'm just curious, was Stroud okay? I didn't read up on the game yet, but was he all right? Did he get hurt? Because, holy moly, or are the Vikings just that good? Either way, I can't wait to see Tom Grossi's video for if the week 3 was scripted, because the Stroud's character is not going to be happy. And I'm just curious to know how the scriptwriter character is going to get out of this one. But, oh, man. Let's see, I'm trying to think. Were there any other shocking upsets? Oh, yeah. The Giants. Giants got their first win today, beating the Browns 21-15. Cleveland, aren't you supposed to be good? I mean, that defense and a healthy Deshaun Watson with that offense, maybe you ought to get Joe Flacco back. Put him back in. I don't know. Wow. If you're a Giants fan, do you kind of buy into this or just think it was a fluke any given Sunday? Either way, you'll take it, right? I mean, a win against a good team like that, whew. Don't know how many more of those you're going to get. And the Cowboys, oh, I got to say though, I kind of started to think, oh, maybe they're gonna do it. They were down 28-6 going into the fourth, and suddenly They remembered that, hey, you know what? We're supposed to be a good football team. They started rallying, and the Ravens kind of pulling like a repeat of the Super Bowl against the 49ers where they were up big and nearly blew it. And the Cowboys didn't even need a half-hour light out delay to make a comeback. But Baltimore hung on for the win, so the Ravens get their first win of the season, and Dallas lost. So far, the Eagles and the Giants are the only teams in the NFC East to win. So, even though I don't want either, really don't want to say I want the Commanders to win tomorrow because then they'd be 3-0, but that's a long season. What the hell? Come on, Washington. Let's see you beat the Bengals tomorrow night. That way Dallas is the only one not with a win for the NFC East this weekend. Yeah. All in. Freaking love it. Going on 30 years since the Cowboys last been to a Super Bowl, even to an NFC Championship game, and as far as I'm concerned, we can just keep it that way. Just enjoy your 5 Super Bowl wins, because, it's about all you got on us now. Oh, yeah, how about speaking of comebacks, a team that did finish a comeback, the Rams, against the 49ers. The hell? What happened? Like, every time I looked at that game, San Francisco was clobbering them. And then I turned around and somehow the Rams pulled it out. With no Puka, with no Cooper. Like, what the fuck? Just any given Sunday, I guess. Just any given freaking Sunday. Oh. But, yeah. It wasn't pretty, but they won. So, I would say a big shout out to Vic Fangio and the defense. Like, that was spectacular. Like, you guys did everything you need to do to help the Birds win that game today. Keeping that Saints offense in check from start to finish. As for the offense, I mean, Goddard, he had a good hell of a game. Saquon Barkley, phenomenal. Like, that's the way you use a great run. That's the way you use a good running back like Barkley in today's NFL. One of the best. So they finally got that working down pat. 2 tutties for him. Goddard setting him up for the go-ahead score. And the defense putting the cherry on top as it should have been. Blankenship with the pick. Hurts. He got sacked 4 times on the day, but you know what? Hey, the Saints are a good team. So, not going to knock them too much for that. But Hurts has got to get better at his decision making. That one interception was like, you should never have thrown that. Like, it's Devontae, but it was a tight window. So I don't say that the Birds need to start. See, this is my problem. I got like one too many thoughts running up here at the same time. And it's just trying to pick one that sounds good. Yeah, it's still clear that they're still trying to replace Jason Kelce, but come on, like, those are some huge shoes to fill. But clearly the Birds, as I stated earlier, just can't seem to move on. Cannot seem to want to establish a new identity with the new team, with these new faces that they have in certain positions, like the center. Now, at least there were no pre-snap balls. There were no dropped handoffs or anything. So that part of the mess got cleaned up. But Hurts, still needs to work on the awareness and decision making a little bit. But still made the plays that counted. And of course, Nick Sirianni, you have got to change your philosophy. I'm sorry. It worked for 2022. This is not 2022. This is 2024. And you need to figure out the strengths of this team, because otherwise you're going to be your own worst enemy. All right. So, final score today, the Eagles 15, the Saints 12. Fly, Eagles, fly. Woo! E-A-G-L-E-S. Eagles! Sure hope Devontae's going to be okay, and Lane Johnson, because got to go to Tampa next weekend. And I can't remember the last time the Birds won in Tampa. I think it was Nick Foles' rookie year, 2012. Either way, it's been a while, and it's the damn Bucs. You know, everybody wants to say that the Niners are a rival to the Eagles, but you know what? This is a rivalry. Do you agree? Any other fellow Eagles fans or NFL fans in general watch this video, do you agree with me that the Buccaneers are, without a doubt, a rival for the Eagles? Because they are for me. 2002 NFC Championship. That doesn't go away. Rondé Barber taking it back for the game-clinching score. Never forget that. And ever since then, every time they play the Bucs, I just want blood. Okay, maybe that was a little dramatic. I just want them to beat them with a lot of points. There's the PG rating. Should be a good game, though. If that same defense shows up next week, takes a page or two from however the hell Denver did it today, and if the offense can just clean up the stupid decision-making, knock off the dumb turnovers, and especially lighten up on going for it on fourth down, and trust your kicker, trust your players to make the plays for you. All right. I think I'm going to sign off here. Hope everybody has a good week. And hopefully the next time I'm talking to y'all, the Birds, well, then they'll be 3-1 heading into the bye. And we get even with the Bucs. All righty. Peace out, y'all. Fly, Eagles, fly.